Hi, everyone. We are a little more than a month away from meeting at Lake Atitlan in Guatemala, and I just always look forward to this trip every year. Gone for the last couple of years, and I just find something so incredibly peaceful and deep and um, blissful going to Lake Atitlan. So I hope that you also will have the same experience. This one is a little bit more of a yoga retreat. So you'll see yoga on the schedule once or twice a day so that I give you ample opportunities to come and try some yoga practice. I'm going to share my screen with you here so you can have an idea of some things. Let's see. Give me a second. Okay. Okay. So dates are November 4th to the 11th. I know some of you are going to already be in Antigua before this. Uh, kind of that's a whole other topic. Consider this kind of the information coming from November 4th until the 11th. So on arrival day, again, depending on we're still working out all of everybody's flights and such, and creating a shuttle system. So I like to work with my friend Chelsea and her company, Heart of Travel. They are locals there in Guatemala, and I let them kind of put everybody together where everybody is staying. If they're in Antigua the day before, or if they're already in Antigua on the 4th, we would get you in one shuttle. And then those of you that are arriving on the day of November 4th, we have an airport shuttle as well. And then depending on the times. So this is kind of why I usually just let people find their own way to the lake, but I definitely recommend you using Chelsea's company if you are okay with that. Chelsea will, based on your flight arrival time and departure time, she will invoice you for the arrival and the departure. So if there's any changes to that, you'll communicate that all with her. Once the shuttle gets you to Panajachel, which is the lake, the edge of the lake, this is where I've already paid for a private water taxi to take you straight to the villa. So you're just responsible for the shuttle getting you to and the shuttle taking you back to the airport from Panajachel. Chelsea tends to get everybody a great price putting you together. I love her drivers. If you get Neville, he's the sweetest. So again, just working with local companies and helping with their economy locally is one of my favorite companies to work with. Um, you'll have plenty of time once you arrive. They have asked that our arrivals and check-ins don't get to Via Sumaya until 3 p.m. Some of you, they might let you smudge that a little bit, but if you're like, I need to get in my room right now at 11 a.m., you might be asked to pay an additional fee to do that. Otherwise, if you get there early and you just want to be in the property, they'll hold your luggage for you until it's time for check-in. And you can walk around the retreat center itself. So this first night is we will have a yoga circle. What you're seeing here, the picture of is our yoga shala, where we will have all of our classes, most of our classes. There's a few that we'll be doing outside, but know that we'll be meeting here on our first night just to, we call a yoga circle, kind of an opening circle to get to know each other and kind of set up expectations and how the rest of our week is going to go. On day two, we have a great easy morning. I won't be waking you up at 7 a.m. I'll let you take your time getting up. We are probably, I think breakfast is at 8:30 in the morning every morning, and then we'll practice after that. We also have Via Sumaya loves to give us an orientation to the premises, which I think is great just to know kind of some of those ins and outs. Via Sumaya has lots of little nooks and crannies that you may not notice and recognize until your last day there. So it's always nice to have these orientations. This is also a chance when all of the healing practitioners that seasonally work at Via Sumaya will come and present what their offerings are. This can be massages, this can be Feldenkrais, Rolfing, astrology, Tao belly work. This can be lots of different things, acupuncturist. It just depends on who is in the area for that time. There are some regulars for sure, but this is also when a lot of the expats come and they are working here at Via Sumaya. So you'll be able to get something booked if any of those pique your interests and it's within your budget. Day three, from here, I'm just going to show you a few of additional activities. Some of them are included, some are not, just so you can, again, kind of think about your budget, think about what you want to sign up for. Day three is kind of our annual Indian nose hike. And we've done this every year. It is not an easy hike. It's, if you look up there in that picture, you see the very top peak. That is the Mayan nose right there. And that's where we're going to end the hike. So it's a lot of up. There are a few little corners that are can be looked down, might be sharp if you have any fear of heights or vertigo. But whenever we do hikes like this, I always make sure that I hire a local guide. The Guatemalan jungle is not a place to mess around. So we always make sure we have one in the front and then myself and the other guide in the back, just to make sure we're all safe on the hike. And the view is incredible. There is an additional cost for this, and it does depend on how many of us sign up. The signups for any of these extra activities will be at Via Sumaya. So once we get there, you can sign up and think more about these, kind of look at the week. You'll have the itinerary in your hand at that time, so you can make any choices there. Day four, this is included, is a Mayan fire ceremony. So our spiritual guide will come. This is something that he has been doing with his family for generations, his father before that, his father before that. So the spiritual guide is passed down in lineage. And so we get to meet our guide, and based on the Mayan calendar and what day, what number it is, what animal, totems, what all these things are included in what the message might be for us that day. So you could obviously look ahead and see what that day is, but this is also just an amazing time to really tap us into the Mayan energy of Lake Atitlan. It's a place where all four elements exist. So it's a very special place for the Guatemalans. It has volcanoes around us, it has fire, it has earth, of course, it has wind. There is some wind that can show up out of nowhere on the lake, as well as the water. So all four elements exist here as a kind of a beginning central point of the cosmology of the Mayans. So this is a special day. I love this. I'm still working out on like what our time frames are going to be and everything, and what some of the days have to be kind of shifted here and there. I'm still working on that, but I'll get to you on that. You'll have a concrete itinerary 1 week before, so you can really have an idea of what the days look like. This also is Tuesday, and on Tuesday and Friday, I have started working with this other company. His name's Marshall, and they have paddle boards. So more to come on that. But that also this morning, the day 4 morning, is also an option for paddleboard, sunset paddleboard. Day 5. So this is a newer hike that I started offering. I offered it last year, and it's the same Indian nose hike without all the hard work. I'm shocked at myself that it took me this long to figure out there was an easier way and just as beautiful. So if you're like, oh, I really do want to see that viewpoint, but you don't want to do the 3-hour hike, totally understand. I put this on as another option for people to do. It does have an additional cost, again, depending on the group, and you get picked up at 3:30 in the morning. So you have to be picked up at 3:30 in the morning. We take you over to a next little town over, where the trucks pick us up and they drive us around the backside of Indian Nose. And then you have maybe a 35-minute walk or hike up the backside of Indian Nose. And then we get to sit up there and wait for the most spectacular sunrise you've ever seen. So Maybe you're a sunrise person. Maybe you want to go for that really big hike and you kind of need that on a trip. So I like to put them both on there. So you'll see that on our schedule as well. Um, oops, I missed a day. Day six is again, like I was saying, this is when I'm working with Marshall to see if we can we'll offer it on Tuesday. If there's more than 10 people interested, we'll also add it here on day six. So that everyone can have an opportunity to go sunset. Or if you want to go again, you can do paddling twice. Via Sumaya does rent out kayaks. So if you're like during the day, you're like, I just want to get out on the water, you can easily do that as well. But this would be more specifically like going out and paddleboarding on the lake, possibly around some of the coves. Depends on the wind, how far out. But again, it's just another beautiful way to see Lake Atitlan. There will be an additional cost. It's $35 per person. And because I'm not working with Via Sumaya on this, I will have your signups for that independently, and you'll pay for it independently versus the Via Sumaya bill. Day seven is our last day, and this is where I also include a cacao ceremony. Um, it's a beautiful time for us just to kind of reflect. I think also to integrate. This is a time for us to really let our body digest everything that we got to experience, feel, whether it's through a healing treatments, whether it's through our yoga practice, whether it's through the sunrise paddling, letting our body have these moments just to kind of to download them and really just settle into these last moments at Lake Atitlan. There is not any fee for this, of course. What you're not seeing on here, this is, like I said, it's not the full itinerary. So I'll be sending that out to you 1 week before our trip. And that will be more of like what times, because yoga, like I said, is once to twice a day. Depending on some of these early morning adventures, can change breakfast time, but for the most part, breakfast will always be at 8:30, lunch will always be at 1, and dinner will always be at 6:30. So we share the main house with another group. I'll tell you now, they are in silence. So they'll probably be taking their dinners elsewhere just so that they're not sitting at the table and not socializing with us. But they are sitting in silence until Friday. So at that point, you'll probably hear their music and we'll finally hear their voices. But we do share those dinner times with them. Okay. Departure day is, and again, like I said, Chelsea is managing all of this, so she'll get back to us depending on what time everyone's flights leave. So if you're leaving at 12 o'clock or so on the 11th, you're going to probably be on an early departure, maybe 6 a.m. Most of us will probably be on the 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m. departure to get us to, again, like we need the 3 hours prior to Guatemala City to do immigration. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's an early morning's departure. We have a 2.5 hour drive back from the lake to Guatemala City. So some basic questions that people tend to have about this trip. How much money should I bring? How much is completely up to you. Everything, like I mentioned today, can be added to your final bill. Any additional smoothies or coffee drinks, anything you might buy from the souvenir shop can all be added to a final bill. And it's your decision if you want to pay with this with cash, with a personal check. You can use a credit card. Just know that they do charge, I think it's a 5% credit card fee on top of that, which is kind of hefty. The other option is PayPal. So they started last year, Via Sumaya started accepting PayPal. So that's also been a helpful way to pay our final bills. I usually bring about 200 quetzal on these trips. I order it from my bank ahead just so I can have it. I order it in smaller denominations. And this is money, if you don't use it for souvenirs, you don't use it for anything else, you could use it for your final bill, or you could also use it to tip the staff at Via Sumaya. More of that to come here. So what kind of healing treatments are going to be offered? And again, these can be added to your final bill, but If you wanted to tip them, you would tip them independently. That does not get included into the bill on any of this stuff at Via Sumaya. So, like I said, it depends on the community of who is there at the time, but they're always amazing. I'm always blown away by just how sensitive and experienced that the staff that are there offering their healing treatments are. I've done the astrology readings, I've done massages, I've done Tao Belly, which was a whole other wild experience. I've done the sweat ceremonies. There's sound healing, some really cool stuff. So this is a great opportunity just to try something that maybe you don't have at home. And you can see down there, those are the rates. I think those, I'm not quite sure if that applies to some of the other ones, like the astrology readings probably has a different rate. But that's at least for the massages that you can kind of have an idea. I would definitely say people get at least one treatment. Most people get 2 to 3. It kind of ends up being that way. It's just people talk about what they experienced with one healer, and then next thing you know, everyone else wants to go and try it too. Another option that Via Sumaya offers is the sacred sweat ceremony. So this little brick hut here is Chichimeca, and you go in and out of it. I think it's 6 or 7 times, and each time that you're in it, the guide is there, guide taking you through different practices of gratitude, singing and harmonizing based on chakra points. And then after about 10 minutes for each time you go in, you come out, you have a cold plunge, as much of you as you can handle, and you go back in. So it's a really a beautiful, kind of like a sauna. If you think of that sweaty ceremony type feel to it, and you're kind of going in and out of the mother's womb, so to speak. That one, again, we'll put up a sign-up schedule for anyone who's interested in that, and you can join a group. The weather at Lake Atitlan is like spring. So, especially if you're coming from Colorado, that just means being prepared, coming with layers. So the daytime can definitely get really hot, intense sun. You are up in a little bit of altitude, but you could easily get away with shorts and tank tops during the day. Nighttime, it just cools off. Morning times, you're going to want a sweatshirt or something warm. I always tell people bring a rain jacket. It's Guatemala. The rain can just come on like that. So it's always good to have that with you, or a poncho of some kind. The food at Via Sumaya, and yes, this is one of our views for yoga in one of the mornings. The food at Via Sumaya is vegetarian, and they do put out vegan options, as well as based on everyone's dietary restrictions. We'll make sure that there's some offerings there for you too. You will not go hungry. If you are curious about a vegetarian diet, this is a great time to try it because the food is delicious and nourishing. If you're like, nope, I need protein every single meal, they have eggs offered in the morning. You can also add chicken or fish to any lunch or dinner that were there for an $8 upcharge fee. And again, that will be added to your final bill. Via Sumaya, also in the main house, will always have water, tea, and coffee there for you to have at any hour of the day. So, and purified water. So what additional costs might there be during your stay? Like I mentioned, you've got the 2 additional hikes. You might want to try one of those. You can definitely tip our guides after if you're okay with that. $2 to $5 is usually the range for the guides. Guided paddleboarding on the lake. And again, we'll have that sign up ready for you here soon. That payment will either go directly to Marshall or myself. The shaman, or excuse me, the spiritual guide, when he comes for the fire ceremony, he also sometimes offers us one-on-one visits. And this is a unique experience in that you get to talk with the shaman. We have a translator for you, and he will want to know your birth date and your last name, and he will talk about what your chart looks like in the Mayan cosmology. So it's always some really cool insights into those. Any drinks, lattes, wine, beers that you might purchase when you're there at Via Sumaya, those are an additional cost. They have a shop there, kind of a small little souvenir shop. Might want to find some things there. They also have an apothecary. So if your stomach is not feeling good, your head, amazing healing remedies that they offer there too. So those are always there for you to buy. And then I also like to remind you that, and it's always suggested, but we love to put together a group tip for the staff at Via Sumaya. So if you consider $7 to $10 per day per person, and yes, US dollars are accepted, this is your Dana. This is your offering back to Via Sumaya. So this goes to the entire staff. When you get off the water taxi, someone's going to be there to take your luggage all the way up the 30 stairs to your bedroom. When you come back into your room, your bed will be made, your room will be cleared up, your meals are going to be prepared, and the tables are cleared. So this is from everyone from the gardeners to the cleaning staff to the managers. This all gets shared out to them equally on our departure. And this is a great way to give back to a beautiful staff. They have wonderful, lovely people there that have worked there year after year. We'll create there. You'll see at the desk, at the check-in desk, there are envelopes there for you. You can, at that time, you can leave individual tips for, let's say you're like, oh, I forgot to tip my masseuse, or you wanted to tip somebody else. You can individualize your tips, but you can also do a group tip envelope that just says, thank you, Via Sumaya. So again, consider $7 to $10 a day. If you have any of those quetzals remaining, you might want to just use those. Or plan on bringing some US dollars that you can just kind of tuck away and use those for tips at the end of our trip. If you book any healing treatments, obviously that's an additional fee. Anytime that you like, you can stand at the end of the dock. There are public water taxis that you can wave down and they know to come to you. And these can cost, I think I put there 10 quetzal, which I think equals to like $2, $3. And these are going in a certain direction around the lake. So if you wanted to go to San Juan or any of these other neighboring villages, maybe you flag them down going one way and then you would wave them down when they're going back toward, and you just have to make sure to say Via Sumaya because it's a private property, but they'll stop there on their public system that they have of the water taxis. There is also a solar hot tub for anyone to use, but there is down at the lakeshore, there is a hot tub. This does require a couple hours. I think it's 6 hours. They use the solar power to heat the hot tub. So you have to give a heads up to the desk, but they can heat that for you for the end of the day, as well as an electric sauna that is up above. But there is also a pool, so make sure you bring your swimsuit, even if you want to swim in the lake. And also Wi-Fi and internet use. So last year, people were able to get a little bit of reception there at the main house, just as free stuff. I don't know if that's still existing or not, but if you wanted to add Wi-Fi to your phone, there's a $3 a day fee or $20 for the week. Hopefully you'll be able to step away from your phone, but I understand if you need to check in every now and then with family or something is happening at home that you need to be aware of. So know that those are an option for you, or just put it on airplane mode and you can check in on Saturday when you're heading home. As I mentioned, the chicken or fish, if you ever want to add that to your meal, and then laundry service. If you are coming from someplace else and you're out of clean clothes, they can, I think there's a 24-hour turnaround. So your final bill at Via Sumaya is, like I said many times, you can pay with cash. You can pay with a personal check. If you're going to do personal checks, bring two. Way too many times I've seen people like write numbers wrong or the name wrong or something, and then they don't have another check. So it's a good idea to bring two personal checks if you're wanting to go that route. And they do accept PayPal. Visa and MasterCard does incur an additional 5% fee. There is one ATM in Panajachel, which you would have to take the water taxi to get to Panajachel, maybe a 10-minute water taxi, if an ATM was required. That was something that you needed. We can help you sort that out. So in the next month, these are just some things I suggest you start thinking about. Packing. I start a pile. I have a basket. I just, when I remember something, I throw it into the basket. Buy some items that you might need from our packing list. It's super casual. I mean, you're going to be hanging out in yoga clothes probably all the time. The dinners, again, you're probably going to be in like some super comfy, I don't know, like dress or soft, cozy pants. It's like basically being at home. Do not expect that you need to be wearing anything nice, anything fancy. I want you to be as comfortable as possible. This is kind of our home for the week. So be comfortable. Of course, you'll need yoga clothes for the classes and a swimsuit for any of these water type activities that we do. But besides that, I mean, just leave it all at home. Pack the comfy stuff. Order some quetzals from your bank. Like I said, that can take up to 5 days. Or there is an ATM. There is one at the airport. I usually try to steer people away from using the ATMs at the airport just because their exchange fee is pretty high. But in a pinch, if that's what you need, you could do that. Also, I'm going to be sending you out a link to join our WhatsApp group. And WhatsApp is an app that not everybody has iPhones. So I use WhatsApp to communicate starting the week before our trip. If there's any questions, any issues that are coming up that you want answered quickly, this is WhatsApp will be our place for that. So keep your eye open for that and make sure you join that because I'm going to check in with you all and make sure that you're on there the week before our trip. If you're going to be taking any of your debit or bank cards, always recommend letting the bank know. For your basic Visa cards, they don't necessarily need to know, but I find that when people are wanting to use their ATMs or debit cards, if there's some issue, the bank will just, if it's some weird glitch, they just won't, they'll trash your card and say a new one's in the mail. So I've seen that happen before. So it's best just to let your bank know that you are going to be in Guatemala so that they don't void any ATM or charges that you might want to make. If check and see if you need to add an international phone plan. AT&T, as of last year, they added, I have on there now, I get free phone calls, data, and roaming in Central America. And this does include Guatemala. So I don't necessarily have to worry about Wi-Fi and I don't have to, my phone works. So you might want to look into your phone plan, see if that's something that you have already existing. Some of them have, it's like $10 passport plan. And this just means you can turn your phone on for 24 hours and only pay $10. So it's a good thing to look into if you haven't already. And lastly, I always like to tell people start a new photo album of your passport and your vaccination cards, maybe even your driver's license. Just have photos of these on your phone readily available. That's kind of a little travel hack that I use just so I don't have to keep digging for my passport when I have to do all these immigration forms or anything that needs to know my passport number quickly. I also like to tell you if anything changes with your plans, with your flights, you miss a flight, we will get you. Don't worry about it. All you need to do is send me an email or shoot me a message on that WhatsApp app. And so that I have all that new information for you. Let's see. So that's the end of my presentation. If I forgot anything, just you can still email me. You can text me if you need that. Or if you're already on WhatsApp, you can send me a WhatsApp message. I'm happy to help you with any of that. Like I said, we're about a month out from our trip, meeting there in Guatemala City. Oh, well, some of you at the airport, some of you, I will already be down at the lake, so I'll be the first person on the dock waving hello once you arrive. And I will be sending you out just our packing list so you can take a look at it again. And like I said, 1 week before our trip, I'll be sending you a more formal itinerary just so that you have something to kind of space out what your days might look like. And maybe if you want to start thinking about those additional activities that you might want to do. Looking forward to this, looking forward to spending some time with you all and at one of my most favorite places, Lake Atitlan. And yeah, that's all it. Until then, bye. I will talk with you soon. Bye.